Hey everyone, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are talking about information warfare campaigns because they're ramping up and we're actually catching them, which I think is giving us a real glimpse into how the world is operating basically during a pandemic, during a global crisis, during a presidential election, and everything else. Now, this is what's going on. Facebook said today that it has scrubbed hundreds of accounts from networks that were impersonating Black Americans or African Americans who appeared to support the president, Donald Trump. Now, this group, which was based in Romania, was behind 35 Facebook accounts, 3 pages, and 88 Instagram accounts, which were basically aimed to just inflate, exacerbate, blow up engagement on topics like the upcoming presidential election, conservative ideologies, and the Trump campaign. Now, this same network also was posting its support and trying to spread the QAnon whole thing. That's a conspiracy theory movement. If you haven't heard of it, and I'm sure many people have, that have basically done things like categorized politicians, specifically Democrat politicians, and celebrities as basically Satan-worshipping child sex traffickers. The whole Pizzagate thing, I'm sure people have seen a lot of stuff about this. Unfortunately, it's been very prevalent, and interestingly enough, a couple of the QAnon people have just passed primaries here in the United States. So we may have members of one house or the other of Congress that actually believe in QAnon. So this is very prevalent here, and we're seeing this spread from groups that are in Romania and other places. Now, the company also said, this is Facebook today, that it removed another network tied to the Epoch Times, which is a conservative media outlet that Facebook previously prohibited from buying ads on the platform. If I recall, the Epoch Times is intensely critical of the Chinese Communist government, and so they are prone to hyperbole and other things, from what I understand from all of this. Now, their campaign used 303 accounts, 181 pages, 44 groups, and 31 Instagram profiles to post about Chinese news events. Now, the Epoch Times efforts utilized basically a troll farm with computers around the world to generate engagement around issues such as pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong, obviously against the mainland Chinese government, the Trump administration's policies about China, and President Trump has publicly stated he's not a fan of China, and all of this trade war, etc. They've also talked about the Epoch Times, the coronavirus pandemic, and the ongoing anti-racist demonstrations in the United States. Roughly 2 million accounts followed one or more of the Epoch Times pages, while 146,000 accounts joined one or more of the groups that they put together in question. Another set of accounts that was taken offline today were affiliated with the Proud Boys. This is a US-based group that is now designated as a hate group. They had 54 accounts and 50 pages, and 4 Instagram accounts linked to people like Roger Stone, who was the political Republican operative that basically got kicked off of Facebook from the month before. And you can go Google Roger Stone. He dresses like the Penguin from Batman. It's a very interesting character, to put it that way. Other accounts removed as well originated in Yemen, Iraq, Switzerland, Canada, Ecuador, Brazil, Ukraine, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, the Congo-based accounts were first uncovered by the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab, and they were connected to Honore Mavula, who is a political figure and a vocal supporter of the president of the DRC, and I believe there's a lot of fake news going there. I do not know, unfortunately, the political machinations going on right now in that country. And so, with all of this happening, what does this tell us? The way I'm looking at this is that I think the world has learned the lessons from just the plethora of disinformation campaigns in the 2016 US presidential election, and now multiple groups have basically taken that ball and run with it, because we're seeing these tactics using free social media platforms against us worldwide, and for various political reasons and other methodologies, and on and on and on. Also, this is not hard to do. These are free platforms, and so basically anybody can set this up and try to run under the radar. I did something similar a while back, and Facebook didn't catch it. And I will tell you what I did here, because it was very basic and it was nothing compared to running like, oh, we should burn the world down, or people are child sex traffickers, or anything like that. I simply started asking questions like, oh, hey, what was your first pet? Mine was a dog. Its name was blah, blah, blah. And I would get a ton of responses on a fake Facebook account where I was able to push out some advertising. And I got an absolute ton of responses. Oh, my first animal was a dog named Fluffy. My first animal was a cat named Roger. And then I would post another thing saying, oh, hey, what was your first car? Mine was a 1980, blah, blah, blah. And then I'd get people that would respond to this. And that tells us that we want to be part of the fun. We want to be part of the action. But that's also bank challenge question number 1 and bank challenge question number 2, and on and on and on. We fall for these things, and this really underscores the need that we have not just to address fake news and troll farms, which are everywhere out there. I remember seeing interviews post-2016 where reporters would go to people that had set up events and collaborated with people online they thought were Americans, but were actually Russians, basically say one thing or another, spilling a whole bunch of hyperbole against, then candidate Hillary Clinton, and on and on and on. It was just beyond fascinating, and these people just would not simply believe that they were talking to somebody in Moscow as opposed to somebody in Tennessee or Chicago or wherever they were. So it's a very interesting thing that we have going on here, but we need to be aware that this is happening, and it's happening in real time. And look at the countries that we are talking about here. Romania, which we know, has ties deeply, to the former Soviet Union and the Russian mafia, and on and on and on and on. Obviously, not politically to the former Soviet Union, but that symbiotic relationship, with the mob has been there for some time, and we know that a lot of cyber threat comes out of there, including troll farms and all of that entire region and all of that. Not just Romania, but Yemen, Iraq, Switzerland, Canada. So we could be talking about anybody from ISIS to anybody else. And so I find this to be very fascinating. And if you look at Canada, who you think, well, Canada's the most polite country on the world, well, a Russian cutout was the one that hit Yahoo, and he was in Canada. So you never know. And so by virtue of that, this really underscores the need for us to check our sources, check our facts, understand that we have a confirmation bias. I am a conservative, I am a liberal, I am an extreme on one or the other, or maybe I'm a moderate. And if it's really looking like it's confirming us and pushing us one way or the other, maybe double check it. Maybe look at it as suspect. Maybe see if it's more hyperbole than it is fact. These are things that we don't really do, and understand that because this is a free platform and you belong to a page that is seemingly, let's say, for or against somebody like the President of the United States, that doesn't necessarily mean it's run by fellow Americans. This is something that we need to understand and we really need to assimilate, because we have seen everything happen on Facebook, up to essentially a virtual genocide in a country like Myanmar by virtue of what was allowed to proliferate on Facebook. So take that to heart. This is going on, and I'm glad to see Facebook being proactive with this, but I guarantee you, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more coming, and what Facebook isn't catching is legion compared to what they have. So heads up out there, this is here and it's here to stay, and I guarantee you've probably brushed up against it once or twice and not even realized it, because these things proliferate rather fast and rather wide. And that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online and check your sources. Thanks, guys.